Hello, I'm Harry Riley. Welcome to Harry's 10-Minute Tales. This is called Harvey Meerkat, Adventurer. This is a short story for adult children, ghostwritten for Anthony Montague Meerkat by Harry Riley. This story is fiction, and resemblance to any meerkat, living or dead, is purely coincidental. Old great Uncle Harvey Montague Meerkat was a liar and a cheat, and more than a bit of a rogue. To be fair, he had his own moral code of a sort, but he is the only one of our family not to have his portrait hanging in the great hall of Castle Meerkat. Such was his high-profile infamy that my father, 10th Baronet Montague Meerkat, would have nothing to do with him in the latter part of his life, and that is a great shame. Our family lineage has been traced back to the 16th century. We originated from Eastern Europe and spread all over the world. It is not widely known, but meerkats were about with the dinosaurs. Of course, we had wings in those days. They disappeared as we grew smaller and evolved into the slimline specimens you see today. Eminent meerkat scientists say we are the true missing link, being closer to Homo sapiens than the ape or the chimpanzee. We're all higher primates. Privately, Neil Armstrong is said to have met a meerkat on his famous moon landing. Anyway, let me start at the beginning. I am Anthony Montague Meerkat, eldest son and heir to the family fortune. A stately home set in 50 acres of beautiful Italian landscape gardens. We get 10,000 meerkat visitors from all over the world each year. Texans with their Stetson hats, Mexicans with their wide-brimmed sombreros, meerkats from the Kalahari Desert, and even the Scottish clan from the Highlands with their bright meerkat tartan kills. Now, owing to global warming, we are likely to become extinct. Our race's problem has always been our diminutive size and our distinct lack of ambition. We could easily have surpassed humans in physical development. We meerkats actually invented the wheel, and it was a modest meerkat who first learned to milk a cow. Most meerkats are content to live together in hovels deep underground, and it is that aspect of their very social nature that has kept them down, so to speak. But not so old Uncle Harvey. He was bright as a button, and was in on the gold rush, abandoning his wife and 16 daughters and dashing off to the Klondike to find the mother lode. He stowed aboard the Queen Mary and kept popping up and down and wandering about in the moonlight, which is said to have sparked off the first ghost story aboard that ship. He landed in New York virtually destitute, and rather than seek employment there, decided to hitchhike from one state to another, meeting all the most disreputable criminals and ne'er-do-wells you can imagine. Eventually he crossed into Canada and arrived at the Yukon River Valley, and by devious means managed to stake a false claim in Rabbit Creek, as it was then. We believe it was Meerkat Creek before that. Some say he called out a fellow player in a poker game and shot him dead with his revolver at point-blank range. He then acquired that man's claim and found untold riches. It is said he met and fell in love with Klondike Kate, and it was she who betrayed him to Skookum Jim and his cronies and cost him his bonanza claim. It was only later that the Royal Canadian Mounties arrived to bring about a little law and order. My cousin Lydia, eldest great-granddaughter of Harvey Meerkat, has been to university and can speak 7 languages. Her son Kelvin is a famous actor and has recently appeared on the television in an advertisement to persuade silly humans to stop clogging up our official website. For some reason he speaks with a slightly foreign accent, but is as meerkat British as anyone else. Anyway, to get back to Harvey. After losing all his money, he could have been forgiven for taking to the bottle, but no, he drifted back to the States and offered his services to Buffalo Bill and his circus act, trick riding on a horse, and that was how he paid for his ticket back to England. Somewhere my mother has an old sepia photo of him just after he had arrived in Rabbit Creek as a starving miner. The picture shows him actually eating his own leather boots, with a touch of salt and pepper of course, to add flavour. Some people believe the scene in The Gold Rush with Charlie Chaplin is stolen from that incident. Those were desperate days for old Uncle Harvey. Whilst with Buffalo Bill in England, he tried his hand at stunt flying and grew a giant handlebar moustache to look the part. It is erroneously believed that Ormer Lockyer was the first wing walker, but Harvey Meerkat beat him to it by several days. He even changed planes in mid-air. Flying was eventually to bring about his death, though. Like I said, he had already been daredevil wing walking up in a two-seater Sopwith Camel biplane, performing crazy handstand stunts. But what finally killed him was a free-fall flight. He left it just too late to pull his parachute ripcord in front of a packed open-air circus crowd and plummeted to earth, where he made a crater 10 foot deep. His funeral was a great affair, bringing meerkats from all over the world. The ornate gun carriage was pulled by 6 jet black stallions with pure white plumes from the circus, and Buffalo Bill attended along with several international personalities. A specially chosen meerkat band marched slowly in front, playing solemn music, and the meerkat mace bearer held his mace all the way in the horizontal position, which is the correct manner for a meerkat state funeral. Needless to say, my stuffy aristocratic parents would have none of it, saying he was beneath contempt. They thought he had brought the meerkat race into disrepute. When the 10th Baronet goes to the great meerkat palace deep in the bowels of the earth, and I become 11th Baronet, I fully intend to put old Uncle Harvey's portrait back in the great hall where he belongs. He could have been a truly great meerkat, and in his own way, I believe he was. End.